So what's going on, guys? My name is Noel. Welcome back to the channel. Today, since we did an Invincible video about Ember being the most hated character, let's take a look at some other characters that are hated very much and some that are just loved more, I guess. So here we go. The most hated characters in Invincible and why it's Immortal and Dupli-Kate. Everybody can't stand these two damn characters. They fucking both suck. All right? Ready? Like I said, I picked this guy over them. Ready? Go.
It's crazy how the alien that has conquered planets and murdered thousands of people, and even more likely murdered millions of life forms, is still more likable than Abraham Lincoln and his underage girlfriend. Invincible is a damn good show, and understandably became very popular over the years, and with Season 3 coming to an end, I figured what better time to talk about a show I've highly enjoyed. With excellent writing, great characters, and pretty good action, the elements that work are arguably the most important in telling a good story, even if the animation at times does look like a PNG being dragged across the screen. Wow, an Invincible animation joke. What a stunning and brave thing to say, and totally hasn't been talked about already before.
know.
There are a lot of characters in this show, ranging from the optimistic and heroic Invincible to the nihilistic, pragmatic Cecil. In a fictional world with ruthless warriors, a race bent on conquering any and everyone they deem inferior, and psychotic serial killers turning people into zombies, that these two are the most hated characters in this show, and I feel very confident in making that statement. I'm sure that the Immortal and Dupli-Kate have their fans, but this guy isn't one of them, so hand me that scalpel, because we're gonna dissect them to see why these two are the most hated characters in this series, despite objectively there being much worse people in this universe. When it comes to fictional media, people will always give the villain who wants to take over the world a pass versus the character with the personality of a Karen. I mean, look at Breaking Bad. Walter White is objectively a terrible person.
Yes, he is, but we all love him.
Letting people die, poisoning a child, killing people, ordering people to be killed, and getting his brother-in-law killed. But Skylar, who admittedly did cheat on Walt, is the one that everyone hates, despite what Walt
fuck her,
because she's kind of annoying and kind of a bitch. A similar scenario with Omni-Man and the Immortal and Dupli-Kate. In real life, when it comes down to comparing actions, the vast majority of people are going to hate the psychopath that drove a car into an innocent group of people over a Karen yelling about how her coffee order wasn't to her exact specifications. To preface, I don't think either is meant to be likable. They are both very well written and are meant to be unlikable, especially the Immortal. Let's break it down on why all my homies and me hate the Immortal and Dupli-Kate. Arrogance. I don't think I've ever seen a more cocky pair of superheroes who are more useless in a fight than these two. With the Immortal, at first, his losses make sense. I mean, he's going against Omni-Man, and even then, he's an exceptionally tough opponent, even for a Viltrumite. So it's understandable why he loses. But then he just keeps losing. Like, bro.
By everybody.
Where's the rest?
We're more than enough for the likes of you.
They've downgraded us.
The Maulers weren't wrong to be insulted to be downsized, because anyone with a shredded dignity would be laughing if they thought that would be enough for them. Heck, Rex Explode was able to kill an Invincible variant. Something.
Time for combat. Let's see what you got.
My boy Rex, man. My boy Rex.
Yet he acts like he's one of the best superheroes when the man catches more L's than kids catching measles. But at least the Immortal has some feats, like I previously mentioned, and probably for a while he was the most powerful hero on the planet, mostly because there just wasn't anyone there who was actually good. But I digress. Dupli-Kate, on the other hand, is actually
she's just trash.
100%.
Fucking
and there is
garbage.
No room to argue anything else. How can you make clones of yourself and the only thing you're good at is increasing the number of death stats in your game session? Like, there's not really anything to indicate that she's limited on how many clones she can make, but for some reason she's like, yep, 5 clones surely seems like enough for this Hulk type person. What makes this worse is that it's either a skill issue or she's just stupid, and neither is a compliment to her, because her brother Multipol is capable of making a ton of clones, and he's much more creative with his powers. And it's not like this is a twice scenario where she has some kind of mental block that's previously keeping her from making a larger amount of clones. So I think she's both stupid and lacks any kind of practical skills in a combat situation. And what makes her even more insufferable is she tries to take credit for other people's success.
Yes,
and
I said
saved
that.
the country from getting nuked.
No, you didn't.
Stop the cap.
You didn't do shit.
The Immortal is the perfect example of a boomer that has a you should shut up and be grateful mentality, while still reaping all the benefits of what he claims he hates in others, which transitions us into the next thing that makes these two just the worst: hypocrisy. A hypocrite is a person who pretends to believe something that they do not really believe, or that is the opposite of their actual behavior. An example of this is these two knuckleheads. The Immortal loves hooking up with his #1 mistress, Hypocrisy, with him constantly talking about how Mark can't be trusted because of the sins of his father and won't give him a second chance. But when Darkwing was placed in the Guardians, he's immediately welcomed by the Immortal, because the Immortal will only trust someone as far as he can throw them. And you know he knows he's outclassed because he only talks shit about Mark whenever he's not in the room.
Yes.
Like, even when Mark is threatening Cecil in front of the Guardians,
he
I don't
didn't
see
do
the
shit.
Immortal anywhere. All bark and no bite. Also, for a man that prides himself on all these good things and what a pillar he is to all that's good and following the rules, he sure seems to like him young. Like, even if he wasn't centuries old, the age gap should have everyone turning their heads. As annoying as Rex was in earlier seasons, he was always right when it came down to nailing down the Immortal's character. Come to think of it, you could probably just play every single interaction between the Immortal and Rex and you could probably get the same thing as watching this video. But hey, then I couldn't monetize it now, could I?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm at least honest about it, like Multipol, which brings us to Kate.
Well, at least they're honest about who they are. And they pay better.
No, fair enough, fair enough,
Yeah.
fair enough.
A great point brought up by Paul, but he really
Fair
has
enough.
a point over Kate that even though he is an assassin working for a shady underground organization, she's not really that different. She's doing a lot of the same stuff, but they have the idea that they're doing it for the big, shiny, rainbow-filled world. So it makes her feel better, or at least makes it easier for her to lie to herself, to the point that she probably genuinely believes it. Now don't get me wrong, that's not me advocating for illegal groups to do whatever they want because they're honest about it. It's more to point out the double standard in Kate's current belief system, because in
She
general,
fucking sucks,
especially
man.
in fictional media, people hate when you hold others to such a high standard, yet you do not practice what you preach. The
Yeah.
final point I'd like to make on why I believe these two are so despised is a lack of empathy / lack of self-awareness. I definitely feel this is more applicable to Kate than the Immortal, but both have their moments. With the Immortal, it's a little, and I put a very strong emphasis on little, more understandable with him. And that has to do with the fact that the dude is so old he farts dust and clearly needs to see a therapist. Because the man has enough mental issues to make BoJack Horseman. Because the man has enough mental issues to make BoJack Horseman blush. Still doesn't justify his lack of empathy, calling anyone younger or he deems as lesser as children, with when Rex and the other Guardians show some very valid concerns about Cecil's methods and how valuable they are to him, which in this case, they could just be dropped off the face of the planet if Cecil deemed them a threat. He says this.
That's exactly what happened.
Oh, for the love of God! The Guardians are the best superheroes in the world! It's
Yeah.
a privilege and
Cap.
an honor to work here. Yes, there's hardship. Yes, there's sacrifice. If you children don't like that, get out!
Classic boomer mentality.
Yep.
And Kate, well,
Don't lecture me, Ray. I went through just as much as you and Rex. More even.
No, you didn't. Not anywhere close. There's only one of me. I can't go hide a backup copy of myself away like you can.
No. He's got
Yeah,
a
she
point.
got a point, yeah. Because that's
it's
exactly what
nothing
she
compared
did.
to being eaten and almost suffocating to death while having every bone in your body crushed and broken, or getting shot in the head with half your brain leaving with the bullet. But she has the nerve to say she went through just as much when she had a backup in a cabin in the woods,
Yes,
probably
chilling.
reading some novel that's trending on Book Talk. You know, for the plot. But she had the gall to downplay the others' experiences when she never had any real skin in the game.
Yeah, my powers are different. So, I also didn't fall apart the minute I got hurt.
That's too far, Kate.
How dare you?
Just stop acting like you're the only one who almost died. I had just as close a call as you did.
This isn't about you, Kate.
Yeah,
It's about
fuck
Cecil.
you.
From my own experience, I always despise the jerk / entitled / hypocritical characters more than the evil take over the world type villains. Why? Because that's what I'm going to see and experience in my life. Sarcastic Horse made a good point on comparing Vox and Valentino from Hazbin Hotel, and how while both are absolutely terrible, the reason why people aren't as critical for Vox is because he's cartoonishly evil in a fun way, saying, oh, I'll bring up the lowest earners and we can shoot him. That's cartoonishly evil. However, Valentino is emulating real-life monsters and evils that sadly far too many people have experienced. And it's the same for unlikable characters, but obviously to a much lesser degree. We all have encountered those types of people.
Zuko!
You know, the ones that are willing to judge others for anything and everything despite either being born into a life of privilege or just having a much different set of life experiences compared to someone else. But to them, everyone has the same life they did. And if they were able to survive and deal with it, then so can they. way. When in fact, the world doesn't work like that. And it's why you can't just take your worldview and lived experiences and use that as the universal comparison to everyone else.
No.
And a lot of unlikable characters in fiction tend to reflect this, and it's why they're just so popular to dislike. But at the end of the day, it's just a TV show, so there's no point in getting all huffy about it. My name is Cameron, spank all those buttons, stay safe out there, and I will see you all later. Bye-bye.
That was good. That was very, very good.
But Cameron, didn't you make a whole video detailing about how you hate most of the characters? And
Easier for her to lie to herself, to the point that she
Show me her
probably
face.
genuinely believes.
I can't stand this character. I actually hate her worse than Immortal, if you want me to be honest with you. But they both suck. Like, they're just unlikable. Like, everything about them. Arrogance, hypocrisy, fucking so full of themselves. She sucks, dude. Like, I don't know if you guys really pay attention to how many bodies she goes through. There's nothing about her that's special, except that she can make clones. And then her brother's first appearance, this dude makes a fucking army, and she only makes like 2 or 3 for some goddamn reason, while keeping a backup somewhere safe so she won't die. Which, I mean, is smart, but yeah, you're downplaying everybody else because you're like, oh yeah, no, I almost died. Oh, yeah, you're somewhere far away on a fucking desert island somewhere, and everybody else is literally getting killed. So, yeah, no, fuck her. Immortal, he fucking sucks. He just gets beat by everybody. He's trash. But yeah, that's that. I was planning on doing another video, but I'm gonna save that for tomorrow. So, yeah, I just thought we'd do another Invincible video. Invincible is one of my favorite shows. I love it. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.